Good day! How is everybody today? Today we're having a very special story time. Somebody special's birthday is coming. Martin Luther King. Do you know what a hero is? Do you have a hero? Martin Luther King was a hero for a lot of people. You may not have seen him or heard of him, but he was a very important hero for all of us. So we're going to tell some stories about Martin Luther King today. Our first one is called Happy Birthday, Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. His parents loved him very much. Martin Luther King had the same name as his father, except for one thing. His father was called Martin Luther King Sr. Martin was called Martin Luther King Jr. Martin went to elementary school, high school, and college in Atlanta. He was a good student. Later, he went to divinity school in Pennsylvania. Martin became a pastor just like his dad at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. They were both called Reverend, the Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Martin's job as a minister was help people in need. He visited sick people in the hospital and made them feel better. And like his father, Martin led people in prayer and song. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. is famous because he helped our country change some of its laws. A law is like a rule. Once there was a law in some places that only white people could sit in the front of a bus and that black people had to sit in the back. Martin Luther King said this law needed to be changed. Rosa Parks and other people helped him change it. Now, all people can sit in any empty seat they like. Once there were laws in some places that said African Americans could only use certain restaurants and drinking fountains. Martin Luther King and many other people helped change these laws. Now all people can share the same restaurants and drinking fountains. Once there was a law in some places that said black children and white children couldn't go to school together. Martin Luther King and other people, including many, many very brave children, had this law changed too. Now, black children and white children can go to school together. Martin Luther King had a special talent for leadership. When he spoke, people listened. Poor people, rich people, white people, black people, and people from all around the world listened when Martin Luther King spoke. Many helped him work, march, sing, and pray for justice. In the summer of 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. gave the most famous speech of his life. He gave it outdoors to 250,000 people who had come to Washington, D.C. to ask the president for jobs and freedom for black people. In his speech, Martin Luther King said that he had a dream. His dream was that people everywhere could learn to live together without being mean to one another. Martin Luther King Jr. was shot and killed in 1968. Because he loved poor people so much, he was given a special funeral in Atlanta, Georgia, where he was born. His body was put in a simple farm cart and pulled slowly by 2 mules to a cemetery. Thousands of people walked behind Martin in a sad, loving parade. On his gravestone were carved those beautiful words, "Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last." Martin Luther King wanted people to be able to go places together, share food together, love one another in peace. Because he worked so hard for freedom and helped so many people gain it, we honor him every year on his special day. We call this day Martin Luther King Day. and we say to him, Happy birthday, Martin Luther King. So it's special. Special birthday. This is called We Shall Overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. The Lord will see us through. The Lord will see us through. The Lord will see us through someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe the Lord will see us through someday. We're on to victory. We're on to victory. We're on to victory someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we're on to victory someday. We'll walk hand in hand, and we'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. That's Rosa Parks. We just talked about her. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we'll walk hand in hand someday. We're not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we are not afraid today. The truth shall make us free. The truth shall make us free. The truth shall make us free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe the truth shall make us free someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall live in peace. Someday. You know what the word peace means? It means getting along with everybody. Okay? Being friends to everybody, which is so important. A song I came up with today about Martin Luther. I thought you might enjoy. Goes to the tune of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Do you remember that song? Mary had a little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. Mary had a little lamb, it was so white as snow. Brotherhood for you and me, you and me, you and me. Brotherhood for you and me, taught Martin Luther King. We shall live in harmony, harmony, harmony. We shall live in harmony, taught Martin Luther King. Some important words he came, didn't he? He told us. This is called Martin's Big Words. This talks a little bit about Martin, again, and his words that he projected that he thought were so important. In church, Martin sang hymns. He read from the Bible. He listened to his father preach. These words made him feel good. When I grow up, I'm going to get big words too, he said. Martin grew up. He became a minister like his father, and he did use big words he had heard as a child from his parents and from the Bible. Everyone can be great. He studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi. He learned how the Indian nation won freedom, without ever firing a gun. Martin said love when others said hate. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Big words. He said together when others said separate. He said peace when others said war. Sooner or later, all the people of the world will have to discover a way to live together. In 1955, on a cold December day in Montgomery, Alabama, Rosa Parks was coming home from work. A white man told her to get up from her seat on the bus so he could sit. She said no and was arrested. Montgomery's black citizens learned of her arrest. It made them angry. They decided not to ride the buses until they could sit anywhere they wanted. For 381 days, they walked to work and school and church. They walked in rain and cold and in blistering heat. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them until the white city leaders had to agree they could sit anywhere they wanted. When the history books are written, someone will say there lived black people who had the courage to stand up for their rights. Big words. In the next 10 years, black Americans all over the South protested for equal rights. Martin walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. White ministers told them to stop. Mayors and governors and police chiefs and judges ordered them to stop, but they kept on marching. Martin's words, wait. For years I have heard the word wait. You have waited more than 340 years for our rights. They were jailed and beaten and murdered, but they kept on marching. Some black Americans wanted to fight back with their fists. Martin convinced them not to by reminding them of the power of love. Martin's words, love is the key to the problems of the world. While many Southerners hated and feared Martin's words, few threatened to kill him and his family. His house was bombed, his brother's house was bombed, but he refused to stop. Martin's words, remember, if I am stopped, this movement would not be stopped, because God is with this movement. The marches continued. More and more Americans listened to Martin's words. He shared his dreams and filled them with hope. Martin's words. I have a dream that one day in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. After 10 years of protest, the lawmakers of Washington voted to end segregation. The white-only signs in the South came down. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. cared about all Americans. He cared about people all over the world, and people all over the world admired him. In 1964, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won it because he taught others to fight with words, not fists. Martin went whenever people needed help. In April 1968, he went to Memphis, Tennessee. He went to help garbage collectors who were on strike. He walked with them and talked with them and sang with them and prayed with them. On his second day there, he was shot. He died. His brave words are alive for today. Freedom, peace, together, I have a dream. Love. And those are big words you should remember from Martin. Okay? Those are important words to be remembered. All right. Another song about Martin. This one goes to the tune of the Muffin Man. Do you know the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? Do you know the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane? Do you know whose birthday's today? Birthday's today, birthday's today. Do you know whose birthday's today? It's Martin Luther King's. He dreamed of world peace, world peace, world peace. He dreamed of world peace. Let's honor him today. Be a king. This book talks about things that you can do. You can be a king. Marvel at creation. Keep the faith of your ancestors. You can be a king. Know that bigotry hurts. Remember how you felt when treated unfairly. You can be a king. Admit that you've done wrong. Just say, I'm sorry, and mean it. You can be a king. Know that dividing walls should come down. You have a glimpse of the other side. You can be a king. Break the chains of ignorance. Learn as much as you can. You can be a king. Stand for peace. Band together against bullies. You can be a king. Sing a song of freedom. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. You can be a king. Stamp out hatred. Put your foot down and walk tall. You can be a king. Answer your critics. Believe in your cause and state it plainly. You can be a king. Have a dream and make yours great enough to grow into. You can be a king. Make the world take notice. Do your very best at whatever you do. You can be a king. Beat the drum for justice. March to your own conscience. You can be a king. Lift up the less fortunate. Be the king or queen of help. You can be a king. Set your sights on the mountaintop. Climb a little higher every day. Be a king. Honor Martin Luther King by being a king. Step up there. Be a leader. And be your own hero.